Hello, everybody. Sian Burton here. I am your private practice growth and marketing specialist. And today I want to talk to you about the importance of recession-proofing your practice. Now, some of you may or may not have seen, I'm going to be running a workshop next week that is on this topic. That workshop is free, and we will be diving really deeply into this topic for an hour and leaving you with some really practical takeaways that you can use to thrive during the recession. So if you're interested in that, just pop a comment below on this video and we will send you the details to get you registered. But for those of you that maybe can't spare that hour, I just wanted to talk to this topic today because I know that it is something that is of concern for a lot of you. Like, I put a post up in the group last week, like, if I did a training on this, would you be interested? And I think we had like 45 responses. So I know it's important to you all, and that's why I want to talk to it today. So I know that the US is currently in a recession, and they are potentially talking about that being up to maybe 2 years that you will be in that situation. I looked yesterday and they said it's about 50-50 as to whether Australia will go into a recession. Fingers crossed we don't. But if we do, there are things that you can do to ensure that you thrive in this environment, rather than it being the thing that takes you down as a business, right? So I want to first talk about what the impact is when there's a recession, so that we can talk about what you do about it, and then some of the opportunities that come from it. So what will generally happen when there is a recession, as you probably know, is that the economy contracts, which means that jobs are often lost in all manner of businesses, from corporate businesses to retail, to all sorts, as people spend less money. And that then has a flow-on effect for healthcare, in that people are not working. So maybe they lose their insurance if they're in the US, or maybe they just don't have the funds available to undertake healthcare if they're here in Australia, or they can't afford their health insurance. So that all sounds very doom and gloom, right? But here's the thing. There is currently more potential clients out in the marketplace than there is service provision. It might not feel like that to you if you are constantly struggling to fill your team. But when you have the right marketing strategies in place, every single time my clients will fill their team to capacity. Every single time. There is more than enough clients to go around, and it is an ever increasing pool, right? With every year there are more children that are diagnosed with autism. We have an aging population. That means that every year there are more and more people who are entering into the stage of life where they need allied health support. The market is awash with clients, right? There is currently more than enough to go around. Now, yes, a recession may see a contraction in those number of clients that are around, but there are still enough to keep your practice full and to keep your practice growing if you are very strategic about how you attract people to your practice. Now, if you are one of those owners who has opened their practice in, say, the last 7 or 8 years, and have just grown organically without having to do too much to market yourselves, know that that will probably change, because the market will get slightly smaller, right? So you're going to have to be a bit more sophisticated in how you attract people to you, in order to ensure that you are the practice that people choose when they are looking for services, because there may be slightly less people in the market. And so you need to be smarter about how you attract those people to you. If you're in the US, it might mean that there is slightly less people who are willing to private pay. But again, you really don't need that many clients to keep your practice full each year. And there are definitely the amount of clients that you need out there in the marketplace. So in a recession, all that happens is that the importance of you marketing yourself effectively, rather than relying on word of mouth, which you have no control over, just becomes more important. Like, the days of like, oh, we just kind of grow organically, they will kind of fall away, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't grow and you can't be successful and you can't thrive and you can't build really successful practices during recessions. If that were the case, then COVID was way worse than any recession, for the impact that it had on people's desire to come out and see therapists. Like, they maybe had money, but they didn't want to leave their house. the recession is probably going to be easier than that, I believe, because there's much more people out and moving about. And I had clients who went to $1 million turnover in 3 years during COVID. So know that there is absolutely hope, and that this doesn't have to be a death sentence, and you don't need to be laying awake at night worrying about it. What you do need to be doing is being strategic about planning for this potential situation that might arise if the recession carries on for a long time, and it is as some people are predicting it will be. So that if it does happen, you have your marketing systems in place. You have consistent referrals coming in. You know where they come from. You can nurture those relationships. You can build more of them if you start to see referrals drop off. We can affect what we measure and what we understand and what we can see. We can't affect things that just happen blindly for us, aka word of mouth. So I highly recommend that you start to think about right now, how can I put marketing things in place? How can I put strategies and systems in to become more aware of what our referrals look like, where they come from, how we can develop more of them, because that is what will stop you from seeing big drop-offs in client numbers should we see a big contraction in the economy. You can also, and I would suggest that you place focus on developing your cash flow so that you have more stability. Now, that will be impacted by you marketing better and your team being more full, because if your team are employees, anything that you fill them up now will just improve your profit margins. So working on that to fill them up. Also working on cancellations, reducing the volume of cancellations where possible, so that, again, you're building a more healthy margin in the practice. That will have a flow-on effect to your cash flow, which will give you a buffer as well, to give you the confidence to move through potentially what feels like a really scary time. And those two things, really focusing on building a buffer, getting your marketing systems in place so that you are the practice that is attracting clients in consistently if those client numbers do contract. Because there is more than enough clients for your practice in your local area. If you need to see 1,000 clients a year and you live in a major city, those people are absolutely still there. You just need to ensure that they are picking you as the practice to go to instead of picking other people. And in that, what will happen, and I want to ensure that this isn't your practice in this, but there will be private practices that do close their doors during the recession. It's just a given. There were practices that closed their doors during COVID because they just kept doing the same thing they'd always done and hoped it would get better. And when it didn't, they didn't have anywhere to go with it. I know this sounds very doom and gloom, but there's a positive in this, right? Because the ongoing consistent challenge that I hear from every single person I talk to, every practice owner who's trying to grow, is I can't hire a team. Now, if we see practices close their doors, which we are going to see over the next couple of years, because they don't make the changes that are needed to secure their bases to see them through this recession, what that will mean is their team will then be on the market looking for new jobs. So in this recession, there's a silver lining that I think that what we're going to see is that there will be some easing of the job market. I also think that people who have gone off on their own during COVID and have been trying to set up a private practice are going to be under the pump more financially, and they're going to be looking for roles again where they can just have a secure income. And I really think that this is going to be the precipice for an easing in the market, not going back to what it was 5 years ago where you put an ad out and you had 10 people apply, but definitely going back to getting some people applying for your job ads when you put them out. So know that that is also a very exciting silver lining to this situation, not for the people who are closing their doors, obviously, but for those of you who do get your ducks in a row, you get your marketing working, you fill your team, you develop your cash flow so that you've got a buffer, and then from there are able to leverage the opportunity that arises of people now looking for new roles because their current practices have to close its doors. So it is very exciting potentially, and doesn't need to be something that you're scared of. It doesn't need to be something that you're laying awake in bed at night right now worrying about, because there are things that you can do to ensure that you not only survive, but you actually thrive this next couple of years. So if that's been really helpful and you're like, okay, tell me more, Sean, how do I do those things? Make sure that you comment below or pop me a message and let me know that you want to attend the workshop next week. It's Wednesday evening US time, Thursday morning Australia time. And we're going to be spending an hour diving into this in more detail. I'll be giving you strategies and tips and ideas about how you can implement the stuff I've just been talking about. So if you would like to join us, let us know, and we will be excited to have you there. Otherwise, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it's given you some hope and some ideas about things you can proactively be doing so that you don't have to feel out of control in this situation, because there is lots you can do to reinforce the foundation of your practice and ensure that this is something you survive and thrive from. So let me know your thoughts. I hope to see some of you next Thursday, and otherwise I will look forward to seeing the rest of you on a video next week.